Ready? How's that, Gene? Good?
That was great. That was beautiful.
Pretty quiet.
It's only taken me all year to do it right.
Pretty quiet, if you ask
3
me.
years. Well, 3 years. Right this year. Well, welcome everybody. This is our last council meeting before the, I think, unless something else comes up, but as far as I know, it'll be the last council meeting in 2017. So welcome everybody, and we've got a couple of delegations, and I'll start off with any, I'll call it to order, any declaration of any peculiar interest. Yeah, on conflict. All right. Moved by Councilor Caldwell, second by Councilor Dirksen. The minutes of the December 5th, 2017 council meeting be approved. All in favor? Great. Okay. Additional items?
I have one, sir.
No.
Are we going to sing Merry Christmas?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, is that what we're doing?
Mayor Bridge, I have a letter that came in this afternoon that
Yes.
relates to the delegation.
Okay. All right. Has everybody got the letter in front of them?
He's at home.
Yep, you should have it. Mine's on the table.
Walking on it.
Good.
Yeah, we have it.
Anything else?
And have read it.
Okay.
It's pretty hard to decide.
Moved by Councilor Turton, second by Councilor Anderson. The Town of Minto Council convenes in the Committee of the Whole. All in favor? Great. And we'll probably meeting at 5, which we'll get to. And delegations, we start off with Luke. And it's great to have Luke here because he's going to talk about the farmers market and how spring is coming. Luke, would you like to come up, Luke Hartung? Talk about the farmers market 2017.
Hey everybody, I'm Luke Hartung from the Minto Farmers Market Palmerston branch. So I'm just going to kind of give a quick review of this year's season and an outlook for next year. So it was a very successful year. I have some proposed budget here and budget from last year if you guys just want to pass it around and just review it.
We have it.
We have it.
Oh wow, geez.
Yeah, we're at
I will stay seated. So Taylor typed all this up, so she did a great job. She's the backbone to the market,
yeah,
and many things I would imagine. So fiscally, we had a really good year. So much so we were actually able to give back to the community. We donated $1,000 to the Palmerston Food Bank. We had some really successful fundraising initiatives, such as we held a trivia night, 2 nights in January and March of 17, and then we also hosted the annual corn roast at the Palmerston Fair. So both those were very good, and we were very fortunate to also receive some financial benefit from the Palmerston Ag Society preceding Farmers Barbecue. So that is very much appreciated. You can skim through that budget and ledger from this past year. I guess looking forward to this year coming up, we got a few days that we are going to highlight certain things as far as the opening day. There's going to be the handcar races going on, a strawberry social day, amongst a few other days there that we've kind of done in the past, which has been successful. One program which has been led by the county, I believe, the Market Bucks. That's been successful. We've seen a lot of new faces out with people using those to purchase goods at the market. I think it's been successful. We ourselves sell at the market in Palmerston, and I know feedback from other vendors has been positive too. So I guess without going through every line on each of these pages, if there's any questions about any of this stuff, let me know. Once again, a big thank you to Taylor for helping us. She does a lot of help to make everything work smoothly. So, and as well as the crew at the Palmerston train station museum, they're a big helping hand. So
any questions for Luke? Here, Luke.
Mayor Bridge, are most of your vendors coming back this year?
I believe so. All but one, Vince, who sold the garlic butter, is not going to be there. But yeah, that's one thing too. We're hoping to get we do have a small market. We have a very committed market for all who are there. But more vendors would also be appreciated too. So,
Judy?
Yeah, I sit on the Palmerston Farmers Market Committee. It's a really active group. It's a great committee to sit on, and the vendors and the customers are both very committed, I think. And they do a lot of work. They have a lot of great ideas, as you can see in the reports that were put together. So, anyways, congratulations to Luke and the rest of the Palmerston Farmers Market, and looking forward to 2018.
Yeah, thanks for your help, Judy.
I just want to say it's a pleasure to go there because the vendors are always helpful and informative and all those good things. It's fun to go there. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And
we got a lot of consistency with our vendors showing up, which really helps because when people come there on a consistent basis for as far as customers, it's important for us to have that consistency. So,
and I just have to add to the fact that I didn't quite get all my little loyalty things done. I think I had
should have came another day, George.
Yeah, I know. I missed a couple, but no, there's great programs, and it really adds to the whole Palmerston Museum railway concept that we have there, and of course, agriculture was so big in the railway when Palmerston was there, and to have the farmers market around that site. And I know we've got some plans to maybe even make it nicer and work towards it. And the nice thing about Vince is the fact that he's moved on, kind of, and he took that little product that he had going, and I do believe he's selling that in grocery stores. And
yeah, he's been really successful.
So there's a nice starts in a market, went to a few markets, got the product developed, and now he's mainstream on it. So that just adds to the
value-added stuff. So,
but I just want to add, Luke, without your leadership and some of the people in your group there that are stalwarts, we wouldn't have a market. Markets are only as viable if the vendors want to be there and they have some and make enough money to make it happen. And I really think that the locals have supported it well. And
we usually thank you. We do get good attendance, so which is fortunate.
Yeah,
and a lot of people from even like other communities such as like Drayton and Listowel come our way.
I see a lot of Perth people there. I see a lot of the Drayton areas come up. Yeah, Harrison's a lot of people in Harrison were going this year too.
Yeah.
So thanks very much for all your help.
Thank you.
Keep up good work. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Next up, we have Howard. Would you like to come up? And we have a great presentation from Quality Homes, and we're really excited for this project. And I know the council have got your briefing on it, and you can just bring us some of the highlights. That'd be great.
So thanks for the opportunity to present. As you know, Quality Homes has been a community member here for 30 years. We did celebrate our 30th anniversary this year, and we are fast approaching the 4,000 homes built mark. We employed over 130 people this year, and we're very excited to say that the prospects for the next few years look very, very encouraging. It's been quite a while since we've endeavored into real estate development, and we have made that a feature of our growth process in 2018 and going forward, and are delighted to do it right here locally, definitely Wellington North, and now obviously in Minto with this subject property. We're very encouraged by the recommendation here in front of us. We obviously are going to make this a community one of quality, both by name but also by structure, design, and really taking into account the needs of housing, both for active adults and potentially families too. In terms of the recommendations themselves, we obviously plan to comply with all the minutes of settlement in place. The only adjustment we would like to contemplate is a 3-year completion, just in case there are some obstacles that we need to overcome. But just to show our commitment to the project is long term, and not to be under pressure should we get off to a slow start. In terms of the designs themselves, that's the site plan up there right now. That was originally approved and is part of the minutes of settlement. So we plan to stay within those footprints and those blocks, yielding 23 units. We would like to see 11 bungalofts and 12 bungalow units, and they would be broken up with end units being bungalows and central units being bungalofts. 2-bedroom bungalows, 3-bedroom bungalofts. If we could go to the next page, I think there's yeah, so that would be the streetscape, which is, I think, quite different from the original that was approved, just in terms of architectural appeal. The garages have been made slightly bigger so that if you do drive a pickup truck, it's possible to get inside and park nicely. Just in keeping with a good, simple, clean line that's yet cost efficient to build, but very appealing from a streetscape as well. In terms of the floor plans, I don't think the floor plan made it onto the there'll be some flex space, some open plan living. So, we're really excited. We've taken into account the needs of the community, both from a, as I said, active adult standpoint, or perhaps some younger families or executives from surrounding businesses.
Any questions for Howard?
Mayor Bridge, there is the letter that I mentioned
Oh, yes.
in the additional items, and it does, you did receive a copy of the minutes of settlement with the site plan report, and we still need time to go through that. We received it this afternoon, and Mr. Scher had both a copy of the minutes of settlement some days ago or weeks ago, and has this letter as well. One of the issues that came out of it, and is a correction in the recommendation, it talks about parking on one side of the street, and they do not want parking on any sides of the street. So if you're inclined to approve the recommendation, and we would ask that you do that, there would be no parking on the street, and we would be, they would consent to signing and prohibiting that from occurring. So there are a number of other details in the letter, and that we've requested in our report when reviewing it, as far as landscaping and development of the site. But we believe we can comply with the minutes of settlement and comply with most, if not all, of the concerns raised in the letter. So I think we're still at a conditional stage as far as this purchase. So we want I guess with council's approval, there's enough conditions on there that they can move forward with dealing with those issues raised, and the Conservation Authority approvals and so forth that are needed.
Yeah, it's our intent to comply completely with the minutes of settlement. Again, we want to create something not that's to a minimum standard, but that's to really appealing. We have marketing entities down in the Niagara Peninsula up towards Barrie. We'd like to attract those people that are familiar with quality homes into our area, and specifically into this development. So, bare minimum is not what we're planning on doing, and we'd love to see a quality product and a quality project all around.
And I guess I'd like to speak to that. I'm totally excited about this project, and not only from the fact we know we need this type of housing in Harrison. We have it in Palmerston, we have it a bit in Clifford now, but we don't have it in Harrison, and we found that previously. We had some situations where we thought we had it at one time, it didn't happen, and then some of the people had to move out of town. I don't want to lose some of our seniors that haven't been able to find housing, that they either downsize or want to get into something more level, that they can have their quality of life later in life. So I'm excited about this, and I think you put a great project together, Howard. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I know how you work. I mean, we've had some site tours of the facility, and it's local labor, and it's just a great benefit to us. And I'm glad you mentioned the fact that we're going to see this migration from other areas, and we're seeing that now. We're seeing a lot of our people that are coming into the area are coming in from the cities, not necessarily the cities, Orangevilles and the Shelburnes, where their housing prices have got so high, they've taken their equity and are moving this way. So we're wanting to welcome those people and really keep building our community. So I think this is exciting. We want to get going on it, and I'm all for the recommendation. Anybody else?
Echo your words.
Okay, we have a motion to the recommendation.
So there's a recommendation in the report. So first you can deal with that, and
Yep.
then you could do a recommendation to receive the letter.
Yep.
I mean, they've raised some concerns in the letter. We're not ignoring that, but
No, I think we can
we'll
handle
deal
it.
with that through the conditions on the site plan approvals.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Faulkner, second by Council Turton. All in favor? Sorry, Jean, did you have something on the recommendation?
Well, it does say the 2 years in here, like.
Oh,
Well, it was with
we're
the-
amended to the 3 years.
3 years.
Oh,
Years
okay.
and no parking.
Sorry.
Okay,
No
sorry.
parking,
Okay.
those two things that Bill brought up.
Okay, sorry.
All in favor? Thank you, Howard.
Thank you very much.
Then a motion.
And a motion to accept the letter.
Receive.
Receive the letter, Judy. And Ron, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Public question period.
Mayor Bridge, we do have the drainage engineers here.
Wanna
And
move
we do
that
have a neighbor here or interested party.
Mhm.
I wonder if council would indulge bringing that forward now.
Yep, I can make that
Make
motion.
that motion. Moved by Councilor Turton, second by Councilor Elliott. All in favor? Great.
There's no other questions.
Yep. No other questions? Okay. Moving forward then. Drainage.
What number is
I got it right here, number 7.
that? No, can't be number 7.
Sorry,
Delegation.
That's number 7.
number 7, municipal
And
drain
7.
update. Welcome, everybody. Did you want to do,
Yeah, did you guys?
how you want to do this, Mike?
You should come up.
I think you should, everybody
Move
come up?
right ahead.
Yeah, everybody come up. Now, I just want to preface this, like, back in the 1800s, they started this drain, and they called it a municipal drain act. The only thing I want to point out, and I said it to the department heads the other day, the misnomer in this whole thing is the municipal part, because we have very little control over this. I would love to see them change, if they want to change anything on the drain act, take municipal off it. Because other than being a conduit to the whole thing, it isn't our act, like, and, but it gets confusing. But this council wants to, we've got a lot on the go, and you've got a great report here, and I want you to go through it all. But I can't believe how many drains are under review right now and doing things. So I think this council wanted to get an update, because you kind of get lost when you hear drain 11, drain 7, drain 6, and different times of the procedures and where everything is and why they're being held up. So I really appreciate you coming today and kind of trying to bring the council up to speed on where all these things are and what are the hindrances and what are the outlooks for this. So turn it loose to you guys, and hopefully you can pull the cloud away from it.
Well, thanks to Dietrich for coming to help out with this report as well here today. As you can see, back in the summer, we had an original report kind of giving you an update where we were at with certain things with the section 4s or 78s that were currently out there. And then this is a follow-up report to give you even more insight as to where we're at with the processes. And you can see on the map there that we have the different locations across Minto where these projects are all going to be taking place. Do you have any, what do you to add with this, Greg?
Okay. First of all, I think hopefully council and staff have had an opportunity to review this report on their own.
Yep.
And I'm sure you have a busy schedule tonight, so I didn't intend to go through item by item, but what I was going to do is perhaps go through just a little bit of detail that isn't covered in the report that Mike put together. And one of the major components that's kind of missing from that, and I'll just hand this out here, is we're having issues with the different agencies. And so this chart spells out some of the issues we have with different things. And, it's with regards to endangered species, cold water.
I can see this. We're not having a copy, but make sure the press gets it.
So as you can see, and I don't intend to go through this. I don't intend to go through this just item by item either. But
Go send that down to the press there. Share. I'll share with you.
sure we'll look at it. It's okay.
Good, thanks.
So, under the Drainage Act, we do have to, it's a requirement to get all the proper authorizations from all of the varying agencies. Sometimes there are conflicting pieces of legislation. We're running into that now. A few years ago, Department of Fisheries and Oceans actually had an agreement with the local conservation authorities to enforce Section 35, which is if you're going to harm fish or fish habitat. A few years ago, they changed the Drainage Act, and those agreements with the conservation authorities, actually shortly after that, they fell by the wayside. So DFO out of Burlington now runs everything in Ontario. We're getting the story that they are grossly understaffed. We're trying to get authorizations, and we're having, I think the longest we've had so far has been 14 months after the report has been given third reading. They're saying that they don't want it to be given third reading until we have their authorization. But it kind of puts the engineers in a hard spot, because I don't want to file a report and then have it held up sitting there doing nothing for 14 months, or we've got others that are approaching a year. And another part of the legislation with regards to the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, they now have, if you're working in any kind of a cold water stream, which Minto happens to have, for good or bad, we've got a lot of high quality water courses here, which is good, except it means their involvement is quite heavy. If you're not doing too much, like if it's maintenance and if there are no species at risk, if it's just because of habitat for fish generally, then there can be things done like timing windows and some mitigation, minor mitigation, things like that. And they can authorize that with what they call a letter of advice. That's the simple ones. The ones which, if you look at the page I just handed you out here, there's red site dace. That's a pretty common one here. And then we also have with MNRF, there's snapping turtles, Massasauga, rattlesnake, scarlet bee balm, bobolinks, giant lacewing. There's all kinds of other stuff with the MNR there too. But the DFO, if it's a more serious sort of situation, then it requires an authorization. And in their new legislation, their authorization actually requires from the municipality a letter of credit issued from the municipality to the Department of Fisheries and Oceans to equal the amount of the compensation and mitigation plan that's put together. Situations we're running into now with other municipalities is the report has been given third reading, and in one case over in Howick, it's under construction, and we still haven't got their authorization. Their biologists want report after report after report. They want us to do sample sites with surrogate streams, water testing, quality testing, sampling, all this. With what their wish list has been for the project in Howick, it's probably about in the neighborhood of $30,000. And that I don't want to just add on to the drain assessment after the fact. We've had meetings with DFO in OMAFRA offices in Guelph with Sid Vanderveen, and he backed me up on what I said. I'm going out on the limb by doing a little bit of this for compensation after the fact. I can't do too much because it's not covered in the bylaw. He supported me on that, and they said, well, all the more reason to have this taken care of before the report is filed. Now, the problem I see there is I've been telling them in the case, like over in Howick, I can't do everything you want because it's not in the bylaw. I'm afraid that if I just give them an open-ended report, then they'll say, well, you have no restrictions here. Then we want this, 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 and this. I don't want that to happen either. I've also considered putting in a contingency item for 10 to 20,000, perhaps 30,000, just a contingency to get all the proper authorizations. But as soon as they see that in a final report, I'm pretty sure they're going to spend that 20, 30, or whatever it is. So right now we're in a real tough spot. I've had 2 meetings with Jen Thomas from DFO, trying to streamline these things. I would like to meet with her again and some of her staff, see if we can come up with a way that we can streamline this, because this just simply isn't working. Looking down the road, I'm the president of Drainage Superintendents Association of Ontario. We've had some discussions on this, and if we can't get anywhere, then perhaps we'll be approaching municipalities to formulate a letter and send off to our MPs, because this is stuck in a holding pattern right now with the agencies. So that was the main thing I wanted to bring out that's not really covered here in this report. I could touch a little bit more on the Harrison flooding investigation. We've completed over 15 kilometers of survey in the Maitland River watershed. We prepared a hydrologic model for the watershed. We're in the process of calibrating that model to the June 23rd, which happened to be the 100-year storm event for Harrison. Once it's calibrated, we intend to prepare a report for council, which will include the following. Explaining the behavior and response time of the watershed. Identify areas within the watershed where projects can be proposed to mitigate the flooding of Harrison. Provide a budgetary cost estimate for some of these options. Provide an analysis of the expected impact and proposed project will have. Investigate the applicability or non-applicability of using the Drainage Act for some of these mitigation plans. And then investigate perhaps some other funding opportunities, which I'm sure Mr. White is well aware of that are out there. So other than that, I think that's about all I had to say, unless anyone has any questions. Hopefully I could answer about any of the other projects we have underway.
You want to say something first?
Yeah, just that. Thank you for that report, and it's just needless to say it is a little disturbing. And so why are we waiting? With all due respect for your organization, why would we wait? Why don't we get our letter in now? Because I just see this thing dragging on and dragging on and dragging on, and there'll be roadblocks put up, and all those kind of terms and sayings and whatnot. It's time for action.
Just on that, Ron, this might be a good delegation opportunity at Roma.
Yeah,
I'm going to be there, and if maybe we can work with you and Drugic Engineering to get proposal and something that we can talk to. It goes back to what I talked about at the beginning about this municipal drain thing, although now it sounds like they're actually downloading more onto the municipalities if we're going to put up letters of credit for the species at risk. And I understand, and I seem to recall back in my youth, and go back, and I used to do a little bit of trout fishing, and I used to walk some things, and back in the day, some of the municipal drains got to the point where they were, as you say, it's pretty good cold water around here, and I'd be fishing them, and then the next year, all of a sudden, the dredger had gone in and dredged them all out, because back then we didn't have to worry about all these species at risk and everything. And as a fisherman, I got a little upset, but at the end of the day, I knew what the drains were there for. Originally, it was to drain the facilities. So by this constant having to bring them into Conservation Authority world, and as you say, we've lost the Conservation Authority even on it. And I looked at this list and seen all the things that you got to deal with. It's really frustrating, and it's got to be frustrating for the people that come to a drainage meeting, sit and say, like, there's always two people. I've gone to a few of them now. There's always two people. There's the ones that are really affected and they want to get something done, and the ones that doesn't really matter too much. They're going to pay a bit into it, but they're in another part of the drain. By the same token, that's why they've built it that way. So when I looked at it, and those people are sitting there wanting to get it done, and then you're constantly stuck with this kind of bureaucracy and adding cost to it, which we all have to pay. So it's cost that is downloaded back to all those owners for no reason. It should be what it was. It should be a drain, not a river system. And it's very frustrating. Now, the only thing I would ask you is I noticed in your report, in 2017, we were doing 11 tile repairs, 9 ditch repairs and cleanouts, new petitions for drains, 7. So that's a total of 27, which says here it's the highest it's ever been in 7 years. But if we look at our map when we were doing our floodplain mapping, and you look back to that map, you got it up there, Bill? Bring that map back right at the beginning. No, the map there. Yeah, like the area that we got drains all around. And we're trying to develop.
Include them all.
That doesn't even include them all. That's just a small portion.
We're working on.
Yeah.
Look over there.
There's another map that I saw once before that has this amazing amount of infrastructure, like drains coming in, creeks coming in, and everything else. We're trying to deal with that with the floodplain mapping. It's really daunting. So I guess my other question would be, when I look through are we getting to the light of the tunnel on any of these drains? Because we got them all going on here, but
Yes.
are we going to be building any of these drains out or actually fixing them this spring? Because maybe highlight those for me if you could.
Oh, sure. Let me see now. Drain 24.
Okay.
That's just outside.
Number 2.
That's just outside of town here. It parallels Highway 9, and that is a tile system.
Tividale. Down further.
That's
Tile
okay.
system, so that's not holding us up.
Okay.
Or we're not being held up by that. Drain 39. You see, we got that project in 2017. That's over by kind of Drew Way. It's a tile system, so there's nothing really holding us up there.
39 is where?
It's actually
Drew.
over by you.
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Over by the 6th, yeah.
Yeah.
by the 6th.
Ron Ross's corner.
And-
And other than
What's-
that,
And we're waiting on I always call it the Fisher Lake one. It becomes Fisher Lake when you end up with it, but down just by the Harrison Packers there. Where are we on that one?
Yeah, that's
Gary Fisher's project.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Actually, we could do that one. We could do the tile portion, but what we're referring to is the Harry Fisher very.
Yep.
That project there, that's a tile system. We could outlet it into
Oh, sorry.
Drain 11.
I know this is terrible.
And
Pardon me.
50.
I always had this off. I don't understand.
Always.
Oh, sure sounds good to me.
All right. Okay. My apologies.
First time ever, though.
Yeah.
First
You're right.
time, yeah.
First time.
So we could proceed with that as long as the landowners are okay with the fact that it won't work properly until we make improvements to 11 and the lower end of the Maiden River. And that really, the lower end should be done in conjunction with the Harrison Flood.
Yes, and then we're hoping to get something on that.
But we could
Sorry,
put the
can I
tile
ask
in
which
if-
one's 11?
That's
The first
11
one.
is Dredge Creek, yeah.
Dredge.
Oh, Dredge Creek, of
The
course,
first
of
one, yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So we could proceed with the tile
didn't see
portion
the
as long
numbers
as everyone knows that it's not going to function properly until we get the rest of it done.
We need to get that bottleneck fixed. Yeah.
And I don't think it makes much sense to take a look at that bottleneck just at the back of Harry Fisher's farm downstream in the Maitland until we look at the big picture. I really think that should all be done under one.
And Bill, correct me if I'm wrong. We talked to Steve on that a little bit because those 2 new bridges they put in at the county, and where it's a floodplain all the way through there. So the idea was to make that a little bit bigger, so allow the capacity, right?
Yeah.
And those bridges can take it now. So that's.
Yeah.
They were designed that way. So
Oh,
yeah.
that's
So
cool.
this is the frustration. You know what I'm getting at. And I know why the council gets frustrated, and I know why the landowners get frustrated. I just.
We had spoke with Steve Jackson from
Yeah.
Cleveland, and he's totally on board with making improvements at that lower end now. So
Oh, good. Well, that's what I thought.
that's the
Steve.
Conservation Authority. So
That's a
we're
big
on the same
step.
page.
And Steve hadn't been away because of his health, and he's back now. So he's the only one that I think.
If I could add one
Yeah.
more thing, when you brought up the cost of these projects being shared with all the landowners and not being fair, it also comes out of everyone else's tax dollars too.
Oh, yeah.
Because OMAPRA pays 1/3 grant on most of these municipal projects. So if we add $30,000 in compensation and mitigation plans, then OMAPRA, that's our general tax
Yep.
dollars. There's 10 grand coming over there.
They're there as
Like,
well. Yep.
It's just money being spent that
Just
or
silly.
we're being asked to spend money that I'm reluctant to spend.
Just silly.
And under the Drainage Act, if we don't get the proper authorizations for a project, be it maintenance or capital project, then we don't qualify for the 1/3 provincial grant.
Okay.
So they hold that over as leverage.
All right. June.
So thanks for the report. When I'm going through these, I'm finding it looks like many times it's a couple of years before we get to the info meeting. So a petition is drawn or put together by the affected landowners and so on. But like a lot of the times it's 2 years, 18 months to 2 years before that info meeting. Like the CMAFR M&R isn't into it at that point, are they?
They should be involved at the early stages, but that's not what's holding that up. I like to see them
So-
involved.
So what is the hold up for that starting point?
Typical turnaround time really should be about a year. It's just our workload. It's now 2 years. But oftentimes, depending on when we get when the notification or the section 4, whatever, comes to council, and then you're supposed to notify the Conservation Authority 30 days before you appoint an engineer, and then the engineer gets appointed. We usually have the on-site meetings, but then depending on the season, we could be a full 9 months or something until we do the survey. I find that it's not a good idea, not what I recommend. If you have a project that goes through a lot of bush area that, say at section 78, that hasn't been touched in 50 years, then try to survey through that or cornfields in the summer it just costs people a lot of money. Wait till the corn's off, wait till the crops are off. And I prefer, if it's a section 78, you already have the maintenance corridor there that under maintenance we're supposed to maintain, then go through and have that cleared first. Have that cleared first. Our survey crew runs about $3,000 a day, and if it's thick bush, it can be up to 4 times as long to do that same survey as if it had been cleared. One good example is on municipal drain number 2 out here. We had that cleared last year. We did some maintenance on it, and those surveys go good. People get a good survey. You have to pay to have that done if you're going to do any work on it sometime. So I think if you do it in the right order, the survey is a bit cheaper. And then when it comes time to tender these things, I think we get a better price too when the contractor can actually look at what he's dealing with, rather than say, okay, I've got 400 meters through bush and I see it at this road and I see it at that road and it doesn't look good, so here's my price. So anyways, it really should be about a year turnaround before an information meeting, but it is running about 2 because of our workload rate.
So thank you. I'm wondering whose job it is to inspect the municipal drains. Like in the past, when we had a former employee that did that, we saw him walking around with the shovel all the time. Not all the time. We would see him walking around with the shovel. Is that Dietrich's job to inspect municipal drains, or is that our staff that does that?
Well, as drainage superintendent, that would be with a lot of the hands-on work. Mike's been helping me out with that.
Okay. And so how often are those municipal drains inspected now?
Actually, right here, we don't inspect them. We're more reactive than proactive. We wait until a landowner calls with a complaint, and then we go and investigate. Okay. Some municipalities are on like a rotational thing where every 5 to 7 years, it's just a list, you know what's coming up. That's not a bad way to be if we were to get that way sometime. In the past, when farming wasn't so good, landowners didn't appreciate having to build when, the timing maybe just wasn't right. Maybe the beef prices were down, pigs weren't good. So I think that's how we've evolved into being more reactive and proactive. Doesn't mean we couldn't look into changing some of that. And I just thought of one other thing here. We're proposing some rather major works on municipal drain number 1 coming up. And in order to try to work with some of the agencies, it's a very large watershed, a huge water course, and we're going to be proposing doing it in stages. And that's maybe something we could entertain doing with some of the larger ones. But if you wait, well, they've been over the curve for quite some time, so the bill's going to be huge. But if we stage it, I think we can get the agencies to work along with us a bit better than going in and doing it all at once.
Really? Through you, Mayor Bridge, some of these drains have gone on already for 6 years, and there's still no contact yet with DFO. Like, how is a landowner supposed to get some idea of when this will actually happen? And I mean, yes, we can speed up the DFO, but what happened to the first 6 years?
Well, it's probably different reasons for different ones. Let's take drain number 69. That's a good example. I think that's one of the older ones. Yeah, drain number 69. When we got into that, we had some meetings with the landowners, and then we looked at some different options for the landowners. And then we had DFO actually out on site because they were out doing some investigation on drains number 2 and 23 for last year. So they were actually out on site, and then they got back to us and said that didn't really count because we hadn't filled out the request for review. So we filled out the request for review. I thought it would have mattered if they had been on site, but so that's probably the worst case scenario, and that's probably That's what's held up Drain 69.
The 6 years.
Yep.
And still no scheduled date for it.
No.
So how many more years do you think we're looking at?
Well, it'd be nice if we could work something out with the agencies and move forward with this. And it would be nice if it would go to construction this year, but I can't guarantee that. That's for sure.
10 days left.
Yes.
So who are these people accountable to?
DFO?
Yeah, like somebody's got to be accountable to somebody.
Uh,
That somebody says, get your butt in gear and get this done.
who that is, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, but I think
It's frustrating.
it goes back to the point where we talk about it being a municipal drain, and yet we don't seem to have any
Darn right.
control over it. And everybody else seems to have control over the world. But you're right, Ron. I mean, some people don't really have anybody that they really report to.
Just
in a sense.
amazing.
So I think we have to. This is a political, and I've talked a bit about this to some other mayors and whatever. It's not. You mentioned Howick. It's not. We're not a local issue. It's not just Minto, and we just seem to have a lot of them. And how many kilometers of drain do we have? Probably as much as we have roads.
Yeah, well, probably more than that.
Probably 500-600 kilometers worth
Oh,
of drainage
easily.
out there,
Yeah.
and like for us to be dead stopped in a lot of this stuff makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, I think it's pretty hard to, I mean, people on the landowners on the, side roads of Minto, like, how do you explain this?
Yeah.
Like, this defies explanation. It's embarrassing to have this many drains that are in process. And, like, even since our July report, there's been, I think, 4 more added, like,
That's right.
just
None
going
subtracted.
and none subtracted. Like, it's getting bigger and bigger, and farmland costs a lot of money, and so it's making a big difference on people's bottom line to the negative when these farms aren't tiled.
Well, like I say, I think there's 3 or 4 here that were not held up with any of the agencies. So we could do our best to get those.
It almost looks like if you bury it, you got to break. It costs you more to bury it, but if you don't bury it, you're pretty well ruined because pretty well it becomes a stream, and then all this other stuff comes into play, right?
Yeah. The only problem is there's more issues trying to enclose a ditch.
Oh, I
there
know.
is of just
I know it's a big cost. All right, Ron.
Just quickly, I'm government programs and departments are very difficult. Like MOE is exactly the same. They can almost do what they like, and no one seems to be able to have anybody you can go to above who you're dealing with. They say you can't go ahead with it, and there's no one you can reach out to. And the only opportunity we have is when we politically go to an MPP, and quite often, even if you go there, they say they have no control over it. They're their own department and they can run it. All we can do is apply pressure through. I would think, as Deputy Mayor said, we should move forward with some kind of pressures to our MPPs right away instead of waiting to have all the departments come forward and pressure them at the same time. Mr. Mayor's right. Correct. We could probably do it in a delegation. We are going to shortly. That we can apply that pressure to at the top of the letter.
Yes, some of the frustration that we deal with, Department of Fisheries and Oceans, once we file a request for maintenance form with them, they have something like 9 days, I think, to acknowledge that they received it, and then they have to give us a response in 60 days. And that sounds great. But I've had phone calls on the 60th day saying you're going to get an email saying that your request was incomplete. Well, what was incomplete about it?
Yeah.
What was incomplete about it? Well, we'll let you know. That'll be coming in another email.
Yeah, it's just to
And then
throw
they
it.
restart the clock. That's frustrating. I wish there was something, like under the Drainage Act, you have rights to appeal. You have rights to make appeals for certain things. And there are deadlines. If you don't make those appeals within a certain deadline, you forfeit your ability to appeal. And I wish there was something like that with these agencies too. Like, I don't give them 3 months, give them 4 months, give them 6 months. I don't care. But well, 6 is enough. But 6 months would be okay. You've got 6 months. Otherwise, we're all good to go.
Yeah.
But there's nothing like that in place right now.
Well, I think if we can work with you and come up with some requests, that we'll go there. The other thing, I think we have to go back at OMAFRA and say, like, this is, as I think Councillor Dirksen is talking about, it's a cost. Like, in a lot, if you've got a flooded field and you got no crops in it, or it isn't working for you, like, it costs you a lot of money. And then OMAFRA should be the ones that are trying to push a little bit on somebody. Now, Department of Oceans and Fisheries, it's monitored by the province, but it's federal, right?
Yes.
But the province is monitoring it.
Right.
And maybe that's, in one time, the conservation authorities did it. So maybe we had a little bit more quicker response, did we, back then? So maybe that's something to request them to go back to and say, conservation authorities are already in the watershed. They're already doing all these other things for other things. Why would you take it away from them? I have no idea.
Actually, it's my personal opinion that they were doing a better job. And there wasn't the overlap.
Yeah, that's what I
We have
mean.
meetings and stuff. There isn't the paper. I need authorization from you.
Yeah.
And you. I think they did a better job. And they were people that were right from the community.
So if I can ask you to work with Bill and Mike, and you work with Bill and come up with some speaking notes and whatever we can do, and we'll get it out there. We'll get the press involved. We'll get the press involved and get this kind of maybe get out there.
Through Mayor Bridge, is it unreasonable that we receive a report every 6 months on the status of the drains?
That'd be great. No, I think that's fine.
Mayor Bridge, if I may, just to try and help you wind it up.
Yep.
We would like you to receive the report. I think what I'm hearing from council is you'd like to move forward with some approaches to the provincial and or federal authorities with respect to the process to try and speed up the approvals.
Absolutely.
Either through our MP or MPP or through delegations at upcoming conferences. And also, I think I heard that you want the 3 or 4 that can go ahead in 2018 to go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
In 2018.
Definitely.
So if someone wanted to move that we receive the report, that we pursue the agencies for expedited approvals in any fashion we can, and that we proceed in 2018 with the ones that were identified, then I think that, and to report back every 6 months, then we can keep bringing it back so you have information on it.
Perfect.
Moved by Councillor Caldwell, second by Mayor Faulkner. All in favor? Sorry, didn't look that way.
Oh, good.
Okay,
As it gets done.
thanks.
And I appreciate, if I may, the drainage engineer and Mike coming to this meeting, and council's got good questions about it. I'm learning myself how challenging this process is. I've always been sort of on the sidelines to it, and the more we have, and the more complicated it gets, the more difficult it is. So, and it's not something you can just resource, because it's not like we could throw money at it and just do it. It's everybody having their say. So, I think you've taken the right approach here.
And just to add to it, I'd love to see us try to get that conservation authority working on that bottleneck because it'd be nice to get that drain done and then have that bottleneck fixed at the same time. So we'll put that on our agenda to talk to Steve.
Huge difference.
And because again, and another flood, if we had another, touch wood, we don't want one, but another flood in Harrison without having, if we got that bottleneck out of there, a lot of the flooding at that end of town wouldn't have been there. And I totally believe in it, that if you got to get the bottleneck out of the Maitland and get the drain fixed a little bit more, that lake wouldn't become a lake, and we have less damage on that end of town for sure. So that's something we really push hard at, and we'll work with Steve on it. And as you talked about it, Steve is sort of in agreement that we have to do something there. So
We're on the same page.
yeah, good, excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mayor Bridge, we're back up to the correspondence.
Yes, correspondence, everybody.
We could receive that, or unless there's items.
Anything anybody wants to pull out of correspondence? So, motion to accept the correspondence. Councilor Elliott, Councilor Anderson, all in favor.
And we're on the mat.
We're on to Matt. Matty. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't say Matty, should I?
No.
Matt. Matt.
Matthew?
Matthew.
Well, thank you, Mayor Bridge. The first of 2 reports I'm bringing to you today is to do with kelp. So this is something we first talked about in late October and early November with Paul Frame. And so both Parks and Rec Advisory Committee and the Minto Trails Group are on board, and we've created a bylaw agreement for your consideration. It's similar to the one we already have in place with Norwell for their arena ice surface usage. And one of the things to point out is we do reserve the right to book the facilities to another party for the full rental fee, given that this agreement would allow Kelp to use the space for basically for free in exchange for minor maintenance work. The likelihood is unlikely, though, as the pavilion's generally used on weekends and during the summer months. And this agreement would be effective for the 2017-2018 school year, but it does contain a carryover provision if both parties wish to continue the agreement in the future years.
Questions? Nope. It's just a quick comment. The Kelp program really does a lot for us in our trails and other things, cleanups, and so I think it's a great opportunity for us to give something back. So I'm excited about this.
The program I don't think was quite in place when I attended Norwell, but I've heard many great things about the program itself, and we've actually hired a lot of our summer staff for pool and day camp that have taken this program. So it's wonderful to have it in our area, and we look forward to working with Paul and his group at Norwell.
Good. Motion to receive. Councillor Dirksen, Councillor Anderson, all in favor?
Second report's just to do with accessibility. It's our annual update. And again, just the front page there just covers the two regulations that we have to consider. The first that covers customer service, and then basically the other one, the IASR, covers everything else. So just earlier this month, I was able to take in 3 webinars offered by the Accessibility Directorate. And it was to do with accessible Word documents, PDF documents, and websites. So I learned a couple of new things that I'll share with the rest of the staff here in the new year when I do my quarterly accessibility update. So those were nice to take in. They were free, and it was great for the directorate to do that. I think each had over 100 people simultaneously logged in to do that. And just as an FYI, you may begin to see variations of the international symbol of access moving forward. Just the other one's a little more active looking.
Yeah.
We are still a member of the County Advisory or Accessibility Advisory Committee, and our staff responded to feedback they received from a resident regarding contrasted nosings in our downtowns. So as you can see, the yellow contrast is much more noticeable now as seen in the picture. 2018 may be the year that we see other municipalities in the county of Wellington upload videos of their meetings to their websites. There's a couple that we might see. Currently, and for some time now, we remain the only ones to publish videos, and just also like to give special mention to Adam Olivero and the staff at Whiteman Telecom for broadcasting them in a timely manner on their community channel. Typically, we meet Tuesdays, and by Thursday evening, you'll be able to see it online. And just as an aside, I do catch myself flipping between the meeting and Leaf games. And if Montreal or Ottawa are playing, I just watch the council meeting.
At least won 8-1. So.
Oh, is that an update? Leaf update? 8-1.
I wasn't looking, but Councillor Elliott was.
Just by accident, I was shutting my phone off.
Oh yeah. That must be what. That's probably.
I've got it.
So just to wrap up, the Design of Public Spaces Standard and the Ontario Building Code cover accessibility requirements that pertain to extensive renovations and new projects. So pictured are 2 examples of projects we undertook this year. We also did accessibility upgrades at the Harriston Arena, both the community center and the main arena entrance doors. And we have our sights set on finishing upgrades at the Palmerston Arena in 2018 to do the community center doors out front. So that's all I got.
Good. Questions? Motion to accept the Mayor Faulkner. Councillor Turton, all in favor? Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
And
Mayor Bridge, I have the records management
Oh, you're doing that?
report because the deputy clerk is ailing and doesn't want to be wandering around the council chambers.
Oh.
So what we're doing is a new records retention bylaw, which we haven't done basically since amalgamation. So that's a pretty long time.
It's time.
we wanted to give you an update on the progress on TomRIMS, which is the Ontario Municipal Records Management System. It's the one used all over Ontario. You may recall that we didn't have TomRIMS here before, and so what we want to do is get up to snuff with that TomRIMS so that forever into the future, anyone who comes to work for the town of Minto is using the standardized approach. So we can go into some information on how our directories are set up. That's primarily on using digital formats, and so we are moving to more and more digital formats. Some departments are ahead of others as far as progress on that, and we wanted to give you an update on that. And this will be much better as far as retrieving records too, which is very, very important under provincial legislation. So we go into a little bit of detail about how we search under the records retention bylaw, and we use a human resources record as an example there. But just wanted to let you know that we are making progress on that. I think by the end of next year we should be even further along, and the records retention bylaw will be presented to you in open session, or in regular session. But we hope you would adopt it. I could answer any questions if you'd like. No questions on record retention.
You explained that so well.
Not my problem.
I'm on the breath.
Go at her.
As long as I can find it. Motion to accept that.
I don't have to find it. But I'll accept it.
Councilor Turton, all in favor? I'll be going to Annalene asking her to look it up for me.
Exactly.
That would be how I would do it. But Annalene will be able to find it really well, won't you, Annalene? Yeah, there you go. Excellent. Okay, next up.
Annalene and Quinn and Tanya have done an excellent job with all the staff on that.
Yep.
The next one is our election procedures and accessibility plan, again prepared by the deputy clerk. And we've outlined how the election is proposed to work in 2018. And we have myself as the returning officer, and then we'll only have one deputy returning officer. That would be the deputy clerk. Last time we had two. So Annalene basically ran the election last time and did a great job, and she'll be up for doing that again this year. So we still have a very practical and community-based election process. You see that we're reaching out to the Crescent Care and Royal Terrace, and then we also use the arenas for ballot drop-off. We'll continue with that this year, and then the municipal office, you'll be able to drop your ballot package off until 8 o'clock. And then, of course, we'll be counting at the Harrison Community Center again. And we will have this council chambers open to the public in case anyone wants to attend and monitor results. I know the legions sometimes have events, and they, of course, can do that too. So I don't think there were too many people hanging around here last election. I can't really recall, but if they do want to come, the council chambers will be open. And just another final word on this council in 2014 was excellent in dealing with issues beforehand or at hand at the council meetings. There wasn't a lot of campaigning, if any, during the council meetings, and just as a staff recommending that we continue with that practice. We did such a great job before, and I'm 100% confident this council will be the same. Our recommendation is that you accept the information as presented.
Questions, comments? I just a comment on it. I'm happy to see that we stayed with people, and I know that a lot of people come to me after the election. They thoroughly enjoy being a ballot counter or one of the officials. And I think it's a nice payback to our community. We've never run into a problem, I don't think, Annalene, getting volunteers. Or not volunteers, but getting people to apply for that job. So, and I'm seeing it's around 7,700. I read somewhere in the paper recently that the machines are 15,000. So I'm all for having this continuing that way. I appreciate you going that road again. Okay, other than that, Gene, want to move that? Okay. Second by Deputy Mayor Faulkner. All in favor? All right. I move it over to the treasurer and the chair. Over.
Thank you, Mayor
Taxes
Bridge.
paid.
And in a moment, I'll welcome our treasurer, Treasurer Duff.
You should be anticipating and being a little quicker.
Well, you did do that rather quickly.
Left over 3 chairs.
And we just have the one item on the agenda tonight, and that is the approval of accounts.
Great, thank you, Chair Caldwell. So this is one of our large quarterly ones. So of the admin, about just under $2 million is our quarterly county and school board remittances. So
Quick.
yeah, you come as you go. And the unique thing with December is they're due the 15th. All the others are due at the end of the month. So they have been sent in. And in the roads, of the total is about $79,000. It's for gravel. It's mostly for road maintenance and a little bit around the lagoons too. We have some rink dividers for minor hockey that our facilities director said they're obligated to purchase under some new rules. That was about $4,500. And some window work at the arenas for $4,800. And the fire department is continuing their program of replacing several suits of bunker gear each year. So that was about $18,000. So those are the main highlights.
Okay, are there any questions or concerns?
Just a comment that it's nice I don't have to sign that big check anymore. They take it right in your bank account.
Oh, do they?
Direct.
It's automatic
Hard time
deposit?
signing that check. But now, gorgeous, it comes right out of the bank
No
account.
$1 million checks,
No.
just online.
Other than that, I'll move to accept.
Okay, you'll move to accept the report. May I have a seconder, please? Councillor Elliott, all in favor? Oh, and the motion is passed. Thank you
Great.
very much. And I turn them.
Just come up quickly.
Oh,
Mr. Chair, if I may, as Todd is our DWQMS compliance coordinator is coming up, it's been a pleasure watching Todd work on this, and he did change the entire format of the report and also participated in the audit when we reissued our license for the next 2 years, which is a good thing. We got several thousand customers that would depend on us for doing that. So I think he's done a great job in his management review. I think this is your first one by yourself.
Yeah.
And the chair also participated in the meeting on this. So
Thank you, Todd, for being here today. Todd is our DWQMS compliance coordinator, and he's took over for Daryl. Daryl was a great one as well, and Todd's doing a great job, as CEO has told us. So go ahead, Todd.
Okay, so annually we do a management review. It's basically taking the pulse of our water system and our DWQMS program. So we went through that process on December the 19th, and you've been given the management review. I'll give you kind of the Cole's notes, the points. It's very important that everybody reviews it, and if you have any questions, certainly get in touch with me and ask, because this is an important part of the due diligence and the standard of care that all aware of. So I'll start with compliance inspections this year. So again, we're at 100% with all our MOE inspections this year for all our systems. So that's very good. And as Bill said, our accreditation audit went very well, and we've been reaccredited. We're accredited now for 2 years. A little different. Usually it's a 3-year accreditation, but because of some changes coming up with the DWQMS, we're going to have another accreditation audit in 2 years instead of 3. As far as adverse water quality incidents, we had 5 in the past year, so 3 of them were sample related, and upon resample there was no issue. 2 of them were boil waters. One was a result of the flood, as everybody knows, and the other one was the maintenance related boil water that we had out at Minto Pines. Another part that we like to touch on is the water usage in the town. So historically, over the last few years, it's been declining. This year, the projected yearly amount, it's starting to level out, if not climb, in a few of the towns. So that's good to see. On the sampling side of things, there's a couple points coming up from the MOE that we'll touch on here. So
arsenic levels, they have changed the standard for it from 25 micrograms per liter down to 10. So we are not over that standard in any of our systems, but in Clifford, we do sometimes exceed half of that limit. So as a result of that, there will be some extra sampling that we do. So instead of being on a 3-year sample, it'll be quarterly so that we can start building some trend information. Also, the ministry has indicated that in the future, manganese could be something that we're going to have to start. They're going to put an acceptable limit in place. Right now, it's there's an aesthetic value. Health Canada has already started moving ahead with it, and as a rule, if Health Canada does it, then the province follows suit. So they've kind of given us a heads up. Looking at our results, again, we are not going to be over the maximum acceptable limit, but we probably will have some that are high enough that we'll have to do some extra sampling. And then the only other big thing in the report this year is in February of 2017, the MOE has come out with a revised DWQMS standard 2.0, they're calling it. So we're basically in the next year going to have to take our current program and basically tweak it. There's a few sections that are going to have to be rewritten. A lot of the emphasis is around the risk management and risk assessment portion of it, and a lot of it relates to severe weather, climate change, and now terrorism too is something else that they want municipalities to be looking at in their programs. Other than that, continual improvement is the other big change. They're really, instead of, in the past we always dealt with corrective actions, they're really pushing to be proactive, so we'll have preventative measures, so that section of our plan will change quite a bit. So, and that all has to be in place by our first audit in 2019, and then again we'll have that accreditation audit in 2019 to make sure we're meeting that new standard. So that is basically the highlights from that report.
Questions for Todd? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Nice to see that our DWQMSA or whatever it is.
DWQMS, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can read it.
Yeah.
DWQMS is in good hands, and keep up the good work, Todd.
Thank you.
Yeah, we do. Just give me a second.
The chair's going to get that.
It's coming. There was 2 reports. So the recommendation is that the council receives the compliance coordinators November 30th, 2017 report, DWQMS management review, and that all councilor members review, approve, and endorse the report, as well as their commitment to the drinking water quality management standards. Go ahead with the question.
On that Councillor Turton. That's the one where the blue books and we signed each year, correct?
If I may, you don't have to sign anymore. It's by passing the resolution.
It's assumed.
That's one of the other changes, if I'm not mistaken.
So what we had to sign, you'll still sign for your annual reports every year that you've seen them and reviewed them. We also had a sign-off sheet saying that you endorsed the DWQMS program.
Correct.
And that's how we've always done it. This year as part of our audit, our accreditation audit. They said a resolution once a year by the current council is the way to go rather than the signature sheet. So
I'll move that.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Faulkner. Seconder, please. Councillor Dirksen, or do you have a question?
No, I'm seconding.
All right, so all in favor of the motion, against, that's carried. So Todd, thanks for all your hard work. I know that you're committed, and that's a good thing. So thank you. I'll pass the chair back to our mayor.
Okay. And our last item, and we're just past the 5 o'clock, which isn't too bad. Perfect. Is we have a public meeting. And so the public meeting is to consider amendment to the Town of Minto zoning bylaw number 0186 for the property located at lots 35 and 36, Survey Caswell and Clements Park Lot 3, Park Lane, Survey Brothwicks, municipality of, you know what? 260 Mary Street. Where did all that come from? I've been living around here a long time. I've never heard any of that. Anyways, never. I will act as the chair of the public meeting. And I will call the meeting to order and request that any member of the public present to please sign the attendance record. As chair, I will state the following. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at the public meeting or make written submissions to the Town of Minto before the bylaw is passed, the persons or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Town of Minto, the Ontario Municipal Board, and the persons or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of the appeal before the board unless, in the opinion of the board, there's reasonable grounds to do so. I will turn it over to CA Clerk White to state the municipal address and legal description of the property and the purpose of the effect of the application date notice were sent. See if you do better at it.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. If it's okay with council, I won't reread what's stated there. Property is at 260 Main Street. Purpose of the proposed amendment is to alter site and building regulations in the current R3 zoning of the subject lands to permit a reduced minimum lot area and side yard setback for the existing 12-unit apartment building. This relief is required as the vacant land adjacent to the apartment was severed up to create a new building lot for a multi-residential development. In addition to the proposed changes to site and building regulations for the existing apartment building, the proposed rezoning may also consider reduced setbacks, including relief to certain site and building regulations to permit a 5-unit multiple residential dwelling on the recently created vacant parcel. This rezoning is a condition of severance B12916 and has been granted provisional approval by the County Land Division Committee. Notice was mailed to property owners within 400 feet or 120 meters of the property and applicable agencies November 28th and posted on the subject property. Comments were received from Town of Minto staff. The building assistance report is attached. Curtis Marshall, Senior Planner, County Wellington, who is here, and Chris Clark, Triton Engineering Services, the conceptual site plan is attached.
Okay, I will call upon the applicant or his agent to provide comments regarding the proposed amendment to the comprehensive zoning bylaw number 0186. Do you have any comments? Please come up and use the mic. Either sit or stand. Just sit.
I like this.
There you go. That's so we give the option now.
Good evening, Mayor Bridge and members of council. We really do not have a lot to say this evening, other than that we really see, this division of this land and the properties as a real benefit to the town. The town is in need, as you are all well aware, of more higher density development, and I think this is an opportunity to allow that. So we would really, we're really looking forward to your decision in support of this. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for the applicant? No, just in saying, I do think this is a great opportunity for us to get some rental accommodation for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank
you.
Councilor Anderson.
Thank you. I've just lost my page; has gone blank. I'm trying to understand the drawing.
Okay, do you want me to bring up Curtis, the senior planner?
Sure.
Okay. Curtis, you want to come up, and then if Jean can maybe ask you those questions. I didn't get you up earlier, but
I might be able to answer. Just if you look at the drawing that's on the screen, the existing 3-story apartment building is located right here.
Yep.
You can see that, and then beside it on what would be, I guess, the severed parcel. The town had pre-prepared a 5-unit layout so that we didn't have to double up on rezoning that. So there would be a new driveway put in between the existing apartment building and the on the severed lot or retained lot that would accommodate the 5 units, and they're shown there kind of in a row dwelling look.
That's sort of my question. I'm assuming the 5 squares at the back of the townhouses. And then the arrows, are those like driveways?
Driveways.
And what's the larger square below that? Is that open?
That'd be green space or
green
lawn.
Space, so grass, lawn. Because
Yes.
that was my question. It didn't look like there was any lawn on there. Will they share that driveway?
At one time, there was thought that they would, but I believe the applicants would like to eliminate the shared driveway, and so the actual site plan would have, and this would come back to council for the new units, would be on the one lot. And the existing apartment building would have their own driveway. So they would be functioning independent of each other in the future.
But there were some concerns in the report about space or width. Is there enough space to do that? Like if we had the fire people.
Yeah,
I'm looking at these 2 little narrow laneways and I'm thinking,
Well, if you want to get it, we're not here to design the site tonight, but it's 6 meters wide, so that's 20 feet, which would comply.
Yeah, there'll be another opportunity, Jean, to do site plan thing. You have concerns over that?
Yeah, so I think we were just trying to show the general nature of the development and get council's consent to the setbacks on the retained lot. The more detailed plan will have to come back later on, and it's important to separate those two because We didn't know whether there'd be a bunch of people here wanting to object to the new 5-unit building, but obviously there's not. So there's what's needed to get the severed lot through, and then there's what's needed for the retained lot.
I understand that. I just had some concerns about putting the severed lot through if it then became impossible to put the 5 units in there once we've already severed it, because then you've severed a piece of land that's basically useless. So
Exactly. That's
that was my
exactly the concern. So that's why we had Triton do that layout. So
First, did you have anything to add, or?
No, not a lot. I think, yeah, as you see my report, we had no concerns with the zoning amendment for the existing building. And just one thing to highlight on the Triton plan, as an option for council's consideration in the draft bylaw, we'd proposed a larger side yard setback. So if you see take you to page 5 of my report, the side yard there, where it says 3 meter side yard. So that would effectively act as the rear yard for those units. So one thing we noted in Triton's design, preliminary design here, they have a over 9 meter long driveway for each of the units, which is quite large, but wouldn't be large enough for 2 cars. So what we have highlighted is there's a possibility that you could reduce that potentially, and I don't want to get too much into the design here, but reduce that driveway down to 7 meters, and you could make the minimum side yard, which would act as the backyard for those units, to 5 meters. So we just felt that maybe 5 meters could provide room for drainage and possibly a small little deck or a patio or something like that in that setback. So just to wrap up, the draft bylaw prepared has 5. If council would prefer 3 or something else, the bylaw would need to be adjusted in the bylaw.
Anything else?
Yeah, just
Deputy Mayor Falcon.
I guess the distance between the edge of the existing 3-story apartment building and the proposed new driveway. Is that it's my eyes that are playing? Is that 1.55 meters? 3.55 meters. Okay, thank you. That sounds better.
Thank you. Anybody else? No? Okay, then I will. I don't think there's anybody here in opposition. I don't believe. I don't see anybody in opposition. I guess you guys have asked all the questions you want. Yeah. Judy's looking at me funny like.
Well, I want to say something, but I'll wait until you're finished.
Well, no, it's the opportunity for you to go.
Well, it's not totally about this.
Oh, it's not about that. Okay.
Well, not totally.
All right. I will state, if you wish to be notified of the decision of Council of Town of Minto in respect to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment application, you must make written request to the clerk of the Town of Minto at 5941 Highway 89, Harrison, NOG 1ZO, or email at bwhite@town.minto.on.ca. If there's no further comments, I will adjourn this public meeting.
Mayor Bridge, before you do that.
No, I can't do that.
I had a comment. Sorry, we should make a decision of council whether you want 3 meters on that side yard or 5 meters.
I didn't see that in there.
It can be 3 meters, and it could always come back to you at 5. But if the bylaw currently reads 5, if you want it to read 3, then I would need a resolution, and then I can just change the bylaw when we sign it. So, could I have a direction on whether you want?
Say that again.
Do you want a 3 meter side yard as shown up there, or do you want a 5 meter or 4 meter, whatever you want on that?
Well, I'm getting a bit confused. And wouldn't that be when we get the site thing? So we leave it at 5, they can make it smaller, you know?
You should leave it at 3 then. And
leave it at 3 then. That's what I want to know. So then they would do the other. Okay, so
if you had a motion to that effect, then we would make sure the bylaw says 3.
Okay. You all right for that?
Yep,
David?
I'll make that motion.
All in favor? Is that what you were going to think, Jay?
Nope.
No.
We're waiting to hear this.
It's a secret. It's a secret. I don't know what it is. Okay, well, that's good. That's good to know, and we got that then. And good luck, and looking forward to the development.
Yeah.
It's great. Thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Okay, now I'll say.
Yep.
So I might be the only one up here who knows that Lori Meyer was actually an employee of the Township of Minto, I believe. Township?
I did not know that.
Deputy clerk, I'm thinking. A few years ago.
Oh, good for you.
Not too long ago.
Oh,
just
nice.
a few years ago. So I just wanted to say welcome. Nice to see you.
Yeah. Very good. Very good.
Well, see, it really didn't.
Well, it didn't. It didn't. Yeah, it's okay. That's good for you.
Anyways.
Okay. Yeah, I still admit.
That's great.
Excellent. Okay, I guess what's left is the additional items as disclosed. And I have Jean wants to go first.
Just a reminder about the Christmas dinner on Christmas Day, and a note to anybody that happens to be out clearing roads of snow and so forth and so on, if that should happen on that day. We're hoping
We hope not.
We're hoping
Yes.
for clear day. But if they don't have time for a meal, they can stop for coffee or a piece of pie, and if you could pass the word along to people. And I think David's already extended it to EMS and fire.
Good. Thank you, Jean. Thanks, Jean. That's great. Oh, wait, I have Ron.
Yes. First of all, thank you to all the citizens and council or everybody who supported our Breakfast with Santa. It was with pleasure that I will be sending a check for $830 to the Burn Hospital in Montreal, and a check for $830 to the Palmerston Hospital portable X-ray machine, and one to Listowel for the same amount, and one to Mount Forest for the same amount.
Wow, very nice.
Very nice.
Thank you, everybody.
Great. Yeah, that's great. Good. Bill?
And, sorry.
Dealt with mine.
And I just wanted to wish all the citizens of Minto a Merry Christmas.
I thought we were going to
do that
We
together.
will.
No, yeah.
Yes.
We will. Yep.
Yeah. So we're
Good health and happiness. Success.
And I guess the one thing I would want to say is don't forget Fire and Ice. It looks like a bigger and better outfit this year. We're going to have lots more fun over there. So, and if any of the councilors can do any of the, I'm going to send out a note if you're around, if you can.
Already you have volunteered.
Yep. Let us get over there, and I'm looking forward to that. We had great reviews last year, and thanks for the fire department and all the people that are supporting it again this year. I think it'll be a great family event.
Needs volunteers.
Bill, you had
Did my
yours.
thing.
Okay, are we going to sing right after, at the end? Don't before the adjournment. We'll do that.
Sure.
Okay. Is everybody ready? Like maybe you can.
We're ready.
Yeah. Moved by Deputy Mayor Faulkner, second by Councillor Elliott. The committee of the whole convenes a regular council meeting. All in favor? Thank you. Moved by Councillor Turton, second by Councillor Dirksen. The Council of the Town of Minto ratifies motion made in committee of the whole. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Anderson, second by Deputy Mayor Faulkner. The bylaw number 2017-101 to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute an agreement between the Corporation of the Town of Minto and the Harrison Historical Society be introduced, read first, second, third time, and passed over to council. And seal the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor Caldwell. The bylaw number 2017-102 to authorize the mayor and the clerk to execute an agreement between the Corporation of the Town of Minto and Minto Arts Council be introduced and read first, second, and third time, and passed over to council. Seal the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Deputy Mayor Faulkner. Bylaw number 2017-103 to provide for classification, retention, and destruction of records of the Corporation of Town of Minto be introduced and read first, second, and third time, and passed over to council. Seal the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Caldwell, second by Councillor Turton. The bylaw number 2017-104 to authorize the transfer of ownership of certain roads with the County of Wellington be introduced and read first, second, and third time, and passed over to council. And seal the corporation. All in favor?
What is this about?
If I may.
Yep. Want to bring that one back to it, Bill?
Sorry.
It's about this.
That little road that we.
There are a bunch of roads that never were transferred from the town to the county.
Oh, I thought we did that a while ago.
Yeah.
So there were a bunch missed.
They missed them.
So we had a title search done by our lawyer, and it's all been ready to go.
So $10 and we got that done. And
Not 10.
No.
Don't we wait?
Why?
It was out of county cost, but
County paid for it.
Well, which is us. Okay.
Which is us, yeah. But it had to be done, so we're now we know.
And we're in agreement that all those roads should be transferred.
Oh yeah, we
in
went
fact,
through
the
that.
report goes back, I think, to the previous term actually. So it's taken.
Oh, it's a long time. Yeah.
Can we have a list sometime? Like this one pager doesn't really tell us too much. I don't want that big book though.
Okay.
I just want a list.
Because that's an interesting subject.
Well, I think we really hashed it out at the time. I do believe there wasn't a lot of.
I remember talking about it, and
in fact, everybody thought that they were already done.
Mm-hmm.
So
it just said, Bill, your comments are about we had missed them the first time.
Oh,
No, we
in the 90s.
in the
or-
90s.
Oh, I see. Okay, I
Yeah.
misunderstood.
No, actually, the
Oh.
resolution
said-
at the time was that council would do this, but we wanted our lawyer to look at it.
Oh,
and that's what
okay.
we did.
Okay.
Okay, so that
You
clears it.
definitely missed it.
I sure did miss it.
Okay. I apologize for the interruption. You
No,
can
that's
now
right.
call
No,
the question, sir.
That's twice.
But it's been a while since we've done the actual thing, so I can understand the concern.
My laptop.
Moved by Councilor Elliott, second by Councilor Anderson. That's a. Are you guys in? I'm gonna have to do this.
I'm just ringing and I don't know why.
Oh, okay. You're ringing. Well, I can't nail you for that. I ring. Moved by Councilor Elliott, second by Councilor Anderson. That once she signs this, that bylaw number 2017-105 to amend zoning bylaw number 10186 for 260 Mary Street in Palmerston in the town of Minto from residential to residential exception be introduced, read first, second, third time. Passed open council. You'll see the corporation all in favor.
Definitely have problems.
Yeah. Set that back over to Jean there. Moved by Councilor Dirksen, second by Councilor Anderson. Bylaw number 2017-106 to execute a public facility limited use Norwell District Secondary School for Community Environment Leadership Program. Be introduced and read in first, second, and third time. Passed on council. Seal the corporation all in favor. Okay. Moved by Councilor Elliott, second by Councilor Turton. That bylaw number 2017-107 be executed an amended agreement to maintain certain approved work funded through the Town of Minto Community Improvement CIP be introduced, read in first, second, and third time. Passed and open council. Seal the corporation all in favor. Are we just saving these up or what? Oh, yeah, that's okay. Moved by Deputy Mayor Faulkner, second by Councilor Caldwell, that the bylaw number 2017-108 to confirm actions of the Council of the Corporation of Town of Minto respecting a meeting held December 19, 2017, be introduced, read first and second and third time, and passed over council. Seal the corporation. All in favor? And before I do the final one, are we going to sing?
Sure.
You going to start us on this? Wish you a Merry Christmas.
Sure.
All right.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Yeah, that's good. And just before I close, thanks for the press for the year. You guys have been
Thank you
here
very much.
religiously.
Through thick and thin.
And yeah, you've taken some holidays, but we all have. So that works out all right. But we appreciate the ability to get our message out. And as you can see, sometimes we don't have a lot of people. So it's important that you're here. And we appreciate all your help and to get the transparency and the message out to our public. Thank you very much for the year.
Yeah.
And we wish you a Merry
Yeah.
All the councils on cover, I want to say that you guys do the best
Are we the only one, Pat? Well, out of curiosity, are we the only one that's? Oh yeah.
Place first, but who was second? Well, there was nobody else.
All right, nobody else. Moved by Councilor Anderson, second by Councilor Turton. The Council of the Town of Minto adjourns to meet at the call of the mayor. Oh, thank you. Very great meeting, everybody. Have a good Christmas.
And Merry